Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into the fascinating psychology behind building long-term wealth today. And don't worry, we aren't just going to be looking at boring spreadsheets or math formulas. We're unpacking the actual behavioral science of delayed gratification and exactly how it drives the creation of true, lasting financial security.
Okay, so I want you to imagine this. You're offered a choice right now. You can either take $100 today or wait a full year for a much larger payout. Which do you actually prefer? It sounds like a ridiculously easy math problem, right? Most of us know we absolutely should wait for the larger payout. But when faced with this in the real world, a surprising number of us just take the $100 right now. And this exposes a deep internal conflict about how we value our time and our money.
Section 1. The planner versus the doer.
That question from a second ago? It actually exposes a massive internal conflict that behavioral economists call the battle of self-control. Basically, you can picture your mind as a company run by two totally different characters. First, you've got the far-sighted planner. The planner wants to save for the future, is super patient, and is entirely willing to skip a treat today for a better tomorrow. But then, there's the myopic doer. The doer lives entirely in the present, is obsessed with instant gratification, and honestly just wants to buy that shiny new espresso machine right this second. Building wealth is essentially just helping the planner manage the doer.
Section 2. Mind Traps and Biases.
To figure out why saving feels like such an uphill battle for the doer, we have to look at our brain's hardwiring. We have these built-in traps that literally fight against delayed gratification. The biggest one, present bias. It's this psychological quirk where we prioritize immediate rewards over future benefits. We drastically overvalue what we can get today, even if it crushes our future returns. Because of this, we end up overspending, maxing out credit cards, and way undersaving for retirement. Basically, it's the doer running the show, desperately chasing that instant dopamine hit.
And there's this fascinating concept from Nobel-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman called YCATI. Sounds funny. But it stands for, what you see is all there is. It means our minds make decisions based only on things we've already observed. We totally fail to account for unknown financial risks or future complexities just because our brains fixate on what's right in front of our faces. I mean, think about it. If you don't actually see a future emergency or a massive gap in your retirement fund, your brain kind of assumes it doesn't exist, which makes it almost impossible to justify saving for it today.
This is exactly where prospect theory and loss aversion come into play. Prospect theory shows that we judge value subjectively, not objectively, and oh man, we absolutely hate losing things. So when your inner doer sees a chunk of your paycheck disappear into a savings account, it frames it as an immediate loss of spending power. Saving literally feels painful and restrictive in the present moment, rather than, a rewarding gift to your future self.
Section 3. The power of compounding.
So now that we know our psychology is basically plotting against us, how do we fix it? Well, Morgan Housel puts it perfectly in his book, The Psychology of Money. He points out that financial success isn't really about how smart you are. It's entirely about how you behave so that compounding can work its magic. Even literal geniuses go broke if they can't control their emotions, while completely ordinary people with solid behavioral skills can build absolute fortunes. It's all about behavior, not math.
Here's the secret. You just need to get 1% better at your financial habits every single day. This draws straight from James Clear's concept of atomic habits. You really don't need a massive lifestyle overhaul. Just slightly bumping up your savings rate, even by 0.25%, or checking your budget once a month. These tiny, little, consistent tweaks compound over time. While compound interest goes to work on your money, the compounding of your habits works on your behavior. Next thing you know, your wealth building is on autopilot.
Section 4. Budgeting and automation. Look, we know the doer's willpower is going to fade the second present bias kicks in, right? So we cannot rely on motivation. We need a system. Enter the 50-30-20 rule. It's a fantastic budgeting framework that basically acts as a peace treaty between your current self and your future self. You split your income into 3 defined buckets: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings or investing. It lets the doer have some fun today with that 30% chunk, but strictly protects the planner's 20% for the future.
But here's the catch. The hardest part is actually being honest with your inner doer. You have to clearly separate a genuine need from a want. Like groceries? That's a need. Getting overpriced takeout every other day? Definitely a want. Basic transportation to your job is a need, but that premium luxury vehicle upgrade? Yep, that is a want. Getting real about this distinction is the absolute bedrock of practicing delayed gratification.
And to stop the doer from sabotaging that 20% savings slice, you absolutely must automate everything to eliminate friction. Set up direct deposits that go straight into your investment or savings accounts the very second you get paid. By creating this path of least resistance, the right behaviors just happen on their own. You literally never even have to summon the willpower to transfer the money yourself.
Section 5. Building Financial Habits.
To really master delayed gratification, we're going to apply James Clear's famous 4 laws of behavior change directly to your bank account. If you want to permanently alter your financial trajectory, you have to design a system around these 4 laws. You have to engineer your environment so that making the right choice becomes, well, automatic.
Here's how that looks in practice. First, make saving obvious by keeping a financial dashboard where you can easily see it, because if your money is out of sight, it is out of mind. Second, make it attractive by focusing on what the money actually does for you. Visualize the freedom and the security it buys, rather than feeling like you're restricting yourself. Third, make it easy through that automation we just talked about. And lastly, make it satisfying by actively tracking your net worth. Seeing that number climb gives your brain the exact immediate reward it craves, which totally cements the habit.
Section 6. Measuring True Wealth. At the end of the day, practicing delayed gratification isn't just about hoarding a giant pile of cash so you can impress people. Maintaining wealth actually requires a completely different psychological stance. Morgan Housel says this perfectly. Your savings is the gap between your ego and your income. True wealth requires frugality and, honestly, a healthy dose of paranoia. It means we have to stop moving the goalposts of what we want every time we get a raise. We have to recognize that saving is basically just shrinking our ego.
The ultimate goal of this entire explainer is a fundamental identity shift. Real change happens when you stop saying, "I'm trying to save more," and start declaring, "I am someone who plans my money." You go from being someone who just passively reacts to their money to someone who actively shapes and controls their future well-being. And let me tell you, that identity shift, it builds incredible financial confidence.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Knowing what you now know about the planner, the doer, and all those sneaky biases in your brain, how will you override your inner doer today to guarantee your ultimate freedom tomorrow? What's just one automated habit you can set up right now to start compounding your wealth? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to go make that 1% improvement today.